สวัสดีค่ะสัปดาห์ที่แล้วเสนอไปบางส่วนแล้วนะคะสำหรับบทสัมภาษณ์ของคุณสุทธิชัยหยุ่นกับศาสตราจารย์ฟิลิปคอตเลอร์กูรูด้านการตลาดชื่อดังระดับโลกในงานสัมมนา Value Driven Marketing จัดโดยหนังสือพิมพ์กรุงเทพธุรกิจนะคะสัปดาห์นี้มาฟังกันต่อมาเปิดมุมมองกับการตลาดกับศาสตราจารย์ฟิลิปคอตเลอร์ค่ะ
How do you make a marketing plan for a totally brand new product? Where do you start?
Let me give you a contrast. General Motors for years would make cars, new cars, and then figure out what to say about them. Mm-hmm. That's wrong. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to start with an idea for a new car that already has a message in it as to who it is for and why it should be bought, and then you make the car.
Right.
We were taught that by the Japanese. The Japanese figured out that you always start with a concept. All good marketing starts with a concept that is tested, and then you know that it will fly, it will work. Mm-hmm. You don't just make a car or a cereal or something. It has to start with a concept. Mm-hmm. And once you've tested a good concept, then you can go very fast in developing it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The Japanese used to be very slow in coming out with something new, but once they made it, it was all over the world.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
In other words, slow development, because they have a method called this consensus method. They want to make sure they got feedback from everyone at all levels. Once they really agree it's great, they can implement it around the world, just like that.
People are now comparing Apple with Samsung.
Yeah.
Apple has this system where it is very vertical.
Okay.
You know, decisions are made and then things are under control and you have to do exactly according to what the leader says, yes. The CEO says. Samsung, the Korean system is by consensus. You don't really see any obvious leader there. Yeah. You don't even know who exactly is the CEO. Maybe there is a CEO, but it's not well known. Mm-hmm. So the personal character, personality doesn't count there. Yeah. But why is it that Samsung is now seen to be a very strong challenge to Apple and probably in the next few years would overtake Apple?
Yeah. There are some general movements going on that Samsung has learned about. One is the movement from thinking vertically to thinking horizontally. And horizontally means thinking to draw from a lot of people instead of a command system. Another is to go from being exclusive to inclusive oriented, to include more of what's happening than to be exclusive. Now, it turns out that Samsung made an assignment to my consulting firm and a group. We want to be the leader in television. We want to be the leader in smartphones and so on. What does it take to be a leader? So
there was Samsung's question to your consulting
to my group, yes. And then we asked, so we decided to answer the question by looking at the world's leaders, which at that time was Apple, IBM, General Electric, and other countries. Sony too. But Sony had fallen behind a little bit. But we found the ingredients of being so admired. What gets us to admire a company? And I can't share the report with you, but they've been following out these ideas, and certainly they're moving toward leadership positions. Now, part of their leadership is not only the idea of always improving their product and disrupting their product, but to advertise it heavily. But not strictly only with 30-second commercials. You go to any airport and you'll see Samsung's name. You'll see it, even as you're approaching the airport, you'll see a big sign Samsung. When you're sitting in the airport lobby, you'll see that it's a Samsung TV set. They're not making money on those sets. But that's their way of making the presence of Samsung everywhere. So they're willing to be a force wherever you are. And of course, who goes on airlines but the elite? People who are in business, who would travel. So naturally, they feel comfortable buying anything made by Samsung. It's one of the best producers of whatever is they produce.
So that's the difference between marketing and sales, right?
Yeah.
They invest in marketing,
Yes,
and then they get sales later.
that's right. They make a fine product, and they develop the plan for spreading the confidence that they are among the best people making that kind of product.
You also mentioned this morning that Samsung's strategy is as soon as one version of the product is launched in the market, they start thinking of how to kill that one so that a new product can replace it.
Yeah. And it sounds kind of strange because shouldn't they make enough money from the existing product
Yeah.
to pay for the cost?
Yeah.
But they're always worried that someone else will beat them to the next version.
So you call it self-cannibalization?
Self-cannibalization is what we call it. Yes. It's here's what I tell companies: sit down with your people, your senior people, and imagine every way in which you may be hurt or displaced by someone else,
And do it yourself.
and do it first.
Yeah.
Do it first.
So replace yourself.
Yeah, be the first to make yourself obsolete. Now you may come up with nothing. You may find out you're in such a good position there's no way someone is going to disturb your leadership. But in most of the sessions I've held with companies, they can imagine a lot of things that would happen. One thing that you could imagine is someone coming out with the same kind of product, half price. In fact, there are some competitors who say, the boss says, we're going to beat that company by finding a way to make the product as good at half the price,
Yes.
which leads to a mission of cost reduction without injuring the quality of the price of the product. So that's not a bad exercise. I think every company should ask, how might they be hurt?